Hello ladies and gents, brothers and sisters, here we go again. So welcome to Opinions on Opinions. This video here is going to be on this lady, Cathy Newman, who interviews Zomlot, and basically she's so far left she can't even see the centre, this woman. She's one of the worst presenters I've ever seen in my life, and I will show you that today. But basically, she's so far left, she's so opinionated to the left, that she can't see the centre. She can't even comprehend anybody else's opinions. So she thinks she's politically correct all of the time. She is not a great journalist, in my opinion. How she's kept her job, I have no idea for this amount of time. But anyway, let's fire away with some of these videos. I'm going to show you the start of this video, and then when she interviews Dr. Zomlot, and also I'm going to show you an example of another interview she did with Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson's one of the greatest speakers ever, and psychologically he's fantastic, so he doesn't get defeated by this woman, and I'll show you this anyway. Let's crack on with this for a sec. Right, here we go.
Hundreds of men, women and children gunned down in their cars, homes and at a rave. Dozens more captured and taken into Gaza. Israel is still reeling from yesterday's surprise attack by Hamas, which is designated a terrorist group by the UK, the US and the European Union. Shock too in Gaza, where 2 days of retaliatory airstrikes have led to hundreds of casualties. The army claims it's back in control of most areas of southern Israel, but it has continued to battle Hamas fighters in...
Back in control. Honest to God, yeah, if I was Israel, I'd be fuming. But I'd be fuming at myself, because the chance to defend yourself is at the border. Like, they shouldn't have even been getting in. If they attack the borders, defend yourself. Abso-flippin-lutely, totally agree you have the right to defend yourself in international laws, everything. How things are structured right now in Israel, and that the state of Israel is recognised, etc., etc. Yes, like any other country, any other state, they have the right to defend themselves, as everyone keeps saying. Your chance to defend yourself is at the border. This is not defence now. This is genocide. You're killing mothers, fathers, grandparents, children in Gaza. You're flattening them. They haven't even got a chance. You're not coming in there and doing anything other than flattening them. So my opinion is, I'd be humiliated. It's the same as the Americans with 9/11. How can you not be humiliated by that? You're one of the greatest countries on earth, the most developed countries on earth, and you've allowed that to happen. A plane flew all the way through Manhattan and all the way through New York, off track. No one batted an eyelid until it hit the tower, and 2 of them did it. It's absolutely madness. I'd be fuming as well, that you've let your citizens down because you haven't defended them. That's your opportunity to defend your citizens and keep them safe, not after it's happened. What are you defending now? It's in Gaza now. There is no more threat, particularly, of like another terrorist attack coming out, as long as they secure the border. So they are defending themselves. But bombing them and killing everybody is not self-defense anymore. The threat's been eliminated already. That you allowed it to happen. It's gone. But anyway, like I say, later on we'll play out with the political agendas and why Israel would want to do this. Why potentially they would have even allowed this to happen in the first place, for them to be able to do this. Anyway, let's carry on for a second.
towns. Israeli media says more than 700 Israelis were killed in the group's deadliest attack in 50 years of conflict. They include 44 soldiers. And at least 370 Palestinians have been killed in the densely populated Gaza Strip, where Israel's airstrikes have destroyed whole apartment blocks. The fighting has also drawn in Lebanese militant group Hezbollah. The Iran-backed group exchanged fire with Israel on Sunday after launching rockets and shells at 3 Israeli positions in the disputed Sheba Farms area. Hezbollah said the attack was in solidarity with the Palestinian people. And an Egyptian policeman has opened fire on Israeli tourists in the city of Alexandria, killing 2 of them and their Egyptian guide. Let's go live now to our foreign correspondent, Secunda Kamani, who's by the Israel-Gaza border. Secunda.
Well, we're not far from the Gaza Strip, and we've been hearing very regular, loud thuds of Israeli airstrikes landing in Gaza. We've seen footage coming in of the impact of those airstrikes as they hit targets in Gaza too. We've also been seeing at times the Israeli Iron Dome defense system intercepting some of the missiles, the rockets I should say, fired out of Gaza by Hamas. And what's really unprecedented though about the situation that we find ourselves in now is the way that Palestinian gunmen have infiltrated over the past 2 days into Israeli territory, moving through Israeli towns, shooting and abducting civilians. It's been a massive security failure, a massive intelligence.
It's exactly that. It's a security failure. It's absolutely crazy. And bombing them now, like you say, there's explosions going off. Who are they shooting? And Hamas, yeah, they say that they put their bases underneath their citizens. So, for example, if you're Hamas, yeah, you don't have a lot of money. You're trapped in a 25 mile by 7 mile strip. Yeah, you can't really buy anything. You can't get anything in or out. You know, so it's like how they're getting these missiles and things. They're obviously being smuggled in or something like this. But basically, they do put their spots underneath. Like a few years back, there was a missile hit a hospital in Gaza and killed a load of civilians. But the reasoning and the rationalisation to that was the fact that Hamas, had their base underneath the hospital. So it's absolutely fine to bomb the shit out of the hospital because you'll get into Hamas in the end. So don't worry about the hundreds of people in the hospital. No, just disregard all of them. Pointless. You know what I mean? Don't worry about them. More important that we destroy that base there. Hasn't achieved anything, you know? So this situation now is like an angry kid. It's like someone punching you in the face, and it's like, right now I'm going to beat the hell out of them, yeah, because they punched me once in the face, you know? That's not politics. That's not international law. That's not anything. It's actually crazy that this is actually going on. You know, they're the political power. They're the state. They're the country. They're part of the international structure, you know, free markets, everything. They have it all, you know. They should have protected their borders. It's like England. We protect ourselves. We are defending ourselves every day. We have submarines pointing at people with nuclear bombs on. We're ready to go, you know, at any time, you know. We have deterrence from people messing with us, you know. That's what happens. Anyway, I'm going to skip this bit, yeah, because this video is not really about this, yeah. It's more about Zomlot, yeah. So let's get to Zomlot quick in this video, just after this lady here, I think it is. It's not a very long, this bit, so don't worry. Right, here we go. There's Mr. Zomlot. Oh, man. Right, we're going to leave that there just for a sec, and what we're going to do is pop over to this one, and we're going to have a look at Jordan Peterson's interview with this woman very quick. We're not going to watch all of it, but I just want to give you an example of the interview technique displayed by Cathy Newman. You know, it's like it's crazy. So basically, it's like anyone has a different opinion than her. It's just take this. It's like I had bacon and eggs for breakfast. So she's then going to say, "Oh, you're saying we should kill all vegans then because you eat meat? You're crazy." Right, 2 seconds. Let's go with this.
Let me move on to another debate that's been very controversial for you. And this is, you got in trouble for refusing to...
By the way, this is absolutely nothing to do with Israel or Palestine in the sense of what they're being interviewed about. But it's just an example of this woman's agendas already, and that she's so far left. You know, so and you'll see that play out later on what I mean by she's so far left, in the sense of what that political agenda is on the left, you know, and how that's playing out now. Normally, when things go too far left, they get brought back to the centre by the right, and when they go too far right, they get brought back to the centre by the left. We're going so far left nowadays, it's unbelievable. Right, anyway, sorry to interrupt the video, let's go.
call trans men and women by their preferred personal pronouns. I
No,
wonder
that's not actually true. I got in trouble because I said I would not follow the compelled speech dictates of the federal and provincial government. I actually never got in trouble for not calling anyone anything.
Right.
That didn't happen.
You wouldn't follow the change of law, which was designed
Not
to
once it was
outlaw
law.
discrimination.
No.
Why should
Well, that's
your...
what they said it was designed to do.
Okay, you cited freedom of speech in that. Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a trans person's right not to be offended?
Because in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. I mean, look at the conversation we're having right now. You know, like you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? It's been rather uncomfortable.
Well, I'm very glad I put you on the spot.
Well,
I'm very glad that I've
but you get
exercised
my
my freedom of
point.
speech.
You get my point. It's like you're doing what you should do, which is digging a bit to see what the hell's going on.
So
And
do
that
you-
is what you should do. But
and
you're
do you
exercising
think-
your freedom of speech to certainly risk offending me. And that's fine. I think more power to you as far as I'm concerned.
So you haven't sat there and... I'm just trying to work that out. I mean,
Ha, gotcha.
you have got me. I'm trying to work
about
that through in
time.
my head. Yeah, it took a while.
It did, yeah.
Took a while. You have
That's an example of hypocrisy right there. You know, it's like a double-edged sword. It's like it's absolutely fine for her to do that. The truth is, anyone getting offended by anything is it's their problem. They're offended by it. They're obviously worried about who they are and insecure and stuff like this. It's like that's where the real problem lies. You shouldn't be getting offended. Who really cares what anybody else thinks of you? If someone says something to me, I'm not going to get offended. I worry about so little compared to everybody else. I realised it when I was once in a training program at a workplace I used to work at, and they were trying to show everything that everybody worries about. And I left the place thinking, I should worry about more stuff than I do. I don't care. You know, you cannot offend me. You can't do it. That's your responsibility for that. Why are we now focused nowadays on not offending people, but cutting freedom of speech? So you're not allowed to say anything to offend people. It's like we've been demasculated in England. You're not allowed a masculine opinion anymore. You're not allowed that. So we're the persecuted ones now in England, is the males. Anyway, I'm drifting way off, but sorry, it had to be said.
come into the studio and agreed to be questioned.
Mhm.
A trans person in your class has come to your class and said they want to be called
And that's never
she.
happened. And I would call them she.
So you would. So you've kind of changed your tune on that.
No, I said that right from the beginning. What I said at the beginning was that I was not going to cede the linguistic territory to radical leftists, regardless of whether or not it was put in law. That's what I said.
You've
And
also-
then the people who came after me said, oh, you must be transphobic and you mistreat a student in your class. It's like, I never mistreated a student in my class. I'm not transphobic, and that isn't what I said.
Well, except you've also called trans campaigners authoritarian, haven't you? I mean, isn't that
Well,
grossly
only in the
insen-
broader context of my claims that radical leftist ideologues are authoritarian,
Yes,
which
but
they are.
You're saying someone who's trying to work out their gender identity, who may well have struggled with that, had quite a
No
tough
doubt
time over the
struggled
years.
with it, yeah.
You're comparing them with, Chairman Mao, who
No, just the
saw the
activists.
deaths of millions of people. Well,
Just the
even if
activists.
It's just crazy that she's a journalist, yeah, and she's not actually even questioning him. She's attacking him, and she's literally trying to show him up. She's trying to show him for something that he's not. You know, she's not even having a conversation. She clearly doesn't even understand what's being said. Honestly, it's beyond me. It's unbelievable.
activists, they're trans people too. They have a right to say these things.
Yeah, but they don't have
Isn't
a
it
right to
grossly
speak for their whole
insensitive
community.
to compare them to Chairman Mao or, Pinochet, Augusto Pinochet. I mean, this is grossly insensitive. Isn't
I
it?
didn't compare them to Pinochet.
Well,
I did compare them to
he
Mao.
was an authoritarian.
He was a
wasn't he?
right-winger, though. I was comparing them to the left-wing totalitarians. And
Okay,
I do believe they
Mao-
are left-wing
Mao-
totalitarians.
Under Mao, millions of people died. I
Right.
mean, there's no comparison between
That's-
Mao and a trans activist, is there?
Why not?
Because trans activists aren't killing millions of people?
The philosophy that's guiding their utterances is the same philosophy.
The consequences are...
Not yet.
You're saying that trans activists
No.
could lead to the deaths of millions of people? What
No,
they're
I'm
doing-
saying that the philosophy that drives their utterances is the same philosophy that already has driven us to the deaths of millions of people.
Okay, tell us how that philosophy is in any way comparable.
Sure, that's no problem. The first thing is that the philosophy presumes that group identity is paramount. That's the fundamental philosophy that drove the Soviet Union and Maoist China. And it's the fundamental philosophy of the left-wing activists. It's identity politics. It doesn't matter who you are as an individual. It matters who you are in terms of your group identity.
You're just
That's
saying these
murderous.
things, though, to provoke, aren't you? I mean,
Not
you
a
are a
bit.
provocateur.
I never said
You're like
anything.
the alt-right that you hate to be compared to. You want to stir things up.
I'm only a provocateur insofar as when I say what I believe to be true, it's provocative. I don't provoke. Maybe for
You
humor
don't set out to
now and
provoke.
then. I'm not interested in provoking.
But what
Not in
about the thing
least.
about, fighting and the lobster? Tell us about the lobster.
Well, that's quite a segue. Well, the first chapter I have in my book is called Stand Up Straight with Your Shoulders Back. And it's an injunction to be combative, not least to further your career, let's say, but also to adopt a stance of ready engagement with the world and to reflect that in your posture. And the reason that I write about lobsters is because there's this idea that hierarchical structures are a sociological construct of the Western patriarchy. And that is so untrue that it's almost unbelievable. And I use the lobster as an example because the lobster, we divulged from lobsters in evolutionary history about 350 million years ago, common ancestor. And lobsters exist in hierarchies, and they have a nervous system attuned to the hierarchy. And that nervous system runs on serotonin, just like our nervous systems do. And the nervous system of the lobster and of the human being is so similar that antidepressants work on lobsters. And it's part of my attempt to demonstrate that the idea of hierarchy has absolutely nothing to do with sociocultural construction, which it doesn't.
Let me just get this straight. You're saying that we should organise our societies along the lines of the lobsters.
I'm saying that it's inevitable that there will be continuity in the way that animals and human beings organize their structures. It's absolutely inevitable. And there is 1/3 of a billion years of evolutionary history behind that. Right? That's so long that 1/3 of a billion years ago, there weren't even trees. It's a long time. You have a mechanism in your brain that runs on serotonin that's similar to the lobster mechanism that tracks your status. And the higher your status, the better your emotions are regulated. So as your serotonin levels increase, you feel more positive emotion and less negative emotion.
So you're saying, like the lobsters, we're hardwired as men and women to do certain things, to sort of run along tram lines, and there's nothing we can do about it.
No, I'm not saying there's nothing we can do about it, because it's like in a chess game, right? There's lots of things that you can do, although you can't break the rules of the chess game and continue to play chess. Your biological nature is somewhat like that, is it sets the rules of the game, but within those rules you have a lot of leeway. But the idea but one thing we can't...
Anyway, we're drifting way off subject here, yeah, but I just wanted to give you an example of what's going on there. Anyway, Jordan Peterson, very clever bloke. You can learn a lot from this guy, and politically, psychologically, all types of different things, So, yeah, check him out. If you want to see this video that I'm showing you now and you want to watch the full interview, I think it's about 30 minutes long. Jordan Peterson versus Cathy Newman. All right, so you can search that up and you can have a look for yourself. What we're going to do though is get back to the Israel and Palestine conflict. Right, here we go. Let's get back.
Right now, inhumane, what's going on?
Fleur Hassan Nahum, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, here with me now is the Palestinian ambassador to the UK, Hussam Zomlot, who's a senior member of Fatah, the party which controls the Palestinian Authority and is a political rival of Hamas. Ambassador, you heard there about the people missing, the hostages taken, the mothers, the elderly.
Just to quote her, she just said, yeah, that he's the political party that opposes Hamas. So he's like on the opposite side of Hamas, all right? And she just even categorised Hamas as political. Okay? Right, let's carry on.
Women, children taken hostage. Will you condemn this atrocity by Hamas?
Cathy, I have had this question as a first question in every interview I did, and I
Easy
refuse
answer.
to answer that question because it is the reason why we as an international community have failed to depict the situation as it is. The business of always being obsessed with blaming the victim, the occupied, the colonized, the besieged, when in fact I didn't see you asking her to condemn. I didn't see you.
But
I
I
did not hear
targeted
your
to-
first
no.
question to condemn the killing of an entire family that your reporter
No, I
did you ask her
tackled
to
her on the
condemn?
people who are losing
So
their lives in
that's
Gaza,
why
and
I
I'm
refuse.
asking you
We
about
cannot-
the people who have
but
lost
Kathy-
their lives, the
Kathy, it's
Israelis who have
tragic.
lost their lives.
It's tragic. It's tragic.
And you condemn that
It's tragic,
atrocity.
and this has to stop. And this approach by the international Western media has to stop also. There is no way we can draw symmetry. The one side that is responsible fully on this is the occupying power. You cannot draw symmetry between militant groups and what you call here in the West the only democracy in the Middle
But
East.
this was an
You-
unprovoked
you-
attack. There were
you- you
people.
cannot-
There were
you
people at a
cannot-
peace
you ca-
festival, at a music festival. Could be hundreds dead there. Young people. They had no quarrel in this. They had no skin in this game. Why did they have to die?
Kathy, my task here is to represent my people. This isn't about Hamas. This isn't about the last 48 hours of what the Israelis.
She's crazy. She's arguing with the ambassador, about whether to condemn the attacks of people dying. That's not his job. He doesn't. It's happened. Let's move on. His job, is to now deal with the political side of things of what's happening now. And what's now happening is Israel are now flattening Gaza and killing Palestinians, the citizens. Like normal citizens, like what she's just gone on about in Israel. It's not about condemning what's going to happen. What's the next move for everybody? How are they getting away with being a democracy and committing the acts they are just because they've had a terrorist attack done to them? They're doing exactly the same thing, if not worse, back to them now. Right, anyway, let's carry on.
See, my people have been seeing the same over a period of 75 years. This is about a Palestinian people, more than 13 million of us, that have been denied our very basic rights for almost a century.
But I'm asking
And
you,
it
as a
all
human
started
being, would
as-
you urge
as a-
Hamas to release those hostages? As a human being.
As a human being, I urge that people's legitimate rights are respected.
And that includes
as
the
a-
hostages,
as-
because after all,
as-
taking hostages
as
is
a-
illegal in international law.
I wish safety to everybody. But do you know, Cathy, that Israel has taken 2 million people in Gaza hostages for the last 16 years?
And you heard me asking the
You know-
deputy
you know-
mayor that
you know-
very question.
And I haven't heard any in the Western media or the international politicians, really, the outcry about that. So it's practically, ironically, it's hostages taking hostages.
Well,
And
I did.
therefore-
I did tackle the lady in Jerusalem over that very point. But look, the attack by Hamas has now prompted this mighty vengeance, as Israel is calling it. The people of Gaza are the ones who are going to suffer. Your people are going to suffer. So how do you bring this bloodshed to an end? How do you play your part in that?
By giving my family in Gaza, because they are in Gaza, hope, horizon,
Where is the hope?
prospect. Yeah, that's the question the Israelis need to ask
But
themselves.
I'm asking you that question.
No,
as
that's
well.
not for me. Our people have been struggling for 100 years. Our people, look, you know what is so tragic as well is this supremacist thinking in Israel that they could go and wreak havoc everywhere. They could attack Palestinians, kill them, round them without charge or trial. They could steal our land. They could desecrate our holy places. They could besiege people for years. And then they ask why this is happening.
But there's
You
the
know, this
same.
is
There's
the
the same
epitome
attitude.
of racism.
But
It's absolutely true though. It's like, again, you destroy people's houses, you bulldoze them down, you make the man feel as small as anything. You're going to build a lot of resentment for yourself. It's like exactly that.
the
This
same
is-
attitude by Hamas, right?
this-
700 Israelis have
This
lost
is
their
the
lives.
epitome of racism. If we really want to nail it down, this is a moment that serves as an alarm, a wake-up call for all of us. There is no way around the Palestinian people and our issue. There is no way but to end this occupation. There is no other route but to enforce international law and international legitimacy.
Okay, but how does your party, Fatah, bring some pressure on Hamas? Do you talk to Hamas, for example?
My party has been the party that has led the Palestine national movement. My party started the armed resistance long before Hamas. And then we gave up that And we committed to three things: recognizing Israel, committing to negotiations and non-violence, and committing to international law and resolutions.
Are you talking to Hamas now? Are you urging restraint?
That was 30 years ago. We did that.
Okay, but
Israel
not
was
now?
expect-
You have no
we still,
leverage.
Israel was expected to do one thing: end its occupation, stop its colonization.
All right.
You know what happened. So
Okay.
you cannot.
Ambassador, I'm so sorry, we're out of time. Ambassador Zomlot, thank you very much for joining us. And on tomorrow's programme, we'll be speaking.
Anyway, that was one of his first interviews, and I have to say from that, how he conducted himself and everything as a politician, that's absolutely fantastic. It's commendable, to be honest with you. So fair play to him. And if you wanted anyone to be your ambassador for your country, it's definitely him. And what he was just saying there, he just wants the occupation to end. So that side of the party, the reason you've even got Hamas voted into Gaza is because Zomlot's party are fine with how things are, really. They're like, all right, we'll recognise Israel. We just want you to stop occupying the Gaza Strip, which obviously they don't anymore. They've just barricaded it off. But the West Bank, they do occupy. And they're bringing in settlers, like we've already discussed, and slowly taking that over and pushing the Palestinians out. So it's like a dire situation, The Israelis have no intention of keeping the West Bank for Palestinians or recognising it as a state anytime soon. It's going to build resentment. Anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll catch you next time. But peace, much love to everyone again, and I hope you do enjoy the content. Apologise for having to whisper and things like this, and it's a bit hectic here at the moment at my place. But thanks for watching anyhow, and stay tuned.